The doors of your car will close automatically. Please keep your head and arms inside and remain seated at all times. And please, no smoking. Thank you.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hey there, Mountaineers! Welcome to episode 26 of Matterhorn Mondays. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm Alex, the historian.
And today we have some great topics for you guys. Our topics today are IPs we'd like to see better represented in the parks, and Alex and I are going to spitball our ideas to sort of fix Disneyland's crowd control issue, because Disneyland can sure get mighty crowded during basically any time of the year. Let's see, I put pictures up on the screen for you guys because I know some of you wanted to have pictures up, so let's see. We are going to start our topics with IPs we'd like to see better represented in the parks. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start off this conversation since I always make Alex start first. One IP I would like to see better represented in the parks is Beauty and the Beast. Now, I know we have the Red Rose Tavern, I think that's what it's called, in Fantasyland, but I don't really count that as Beauty and the Beast themed. I mean, I know it's themed to Beauty and the Beast, but it's replaced the Pinocchio Village House, I think that's what it was called. And it's just sort of like an overlay of what was already there. Yeah, so I would like to have, we've said this before, I would like to have a sort of mini land of Beauty and the Beast, or even the ride of Beauty and the Beast, because other than the Red Rose Tavern, there's really nothing Beauty and the Beast related in the parks, at least as far as I know. And Alex, did you have anything that you, or any IPs that you would like to be better represented in the parks?
Absolutely. So the first IP that I would really like to see in the parks would be Big Hero 6. The reason why is because I thought it was a really good movie, and I thought like it definitely has the ability to be a really good Disney ride, and so I wanted to see something with Big Hero 6, and I remember talking to somebody about what's going to happen to the ride Star Tours after they open Star Wars Land, and basically, you know, it's going to go away, basically, is what people think. And so I thought, well, what if we had a Big Hero 6 ride that took up the Star Speeders of the old Star Tours? And you know, and so I thought it'd be like this really great idea to have this amazing ride where it's a simulator and it's like you're flying along with Baymax and stuff like that. So that was kind of my idea, and so that's pretty much the first IP that I would really like to see in the parks. I mean, we need something in Tomorrowland.
Yeah, man, I haven't seen Big Hero 6 in a while, but when I did see it, I loved the heck out of that movie. I believe it was based off a Marvel comic, but it's not technically a Marvel movie, even though I think they had the Marvel sort of logo during the opening scene, but I don't think it's technically a Marvel movie. I know they're making a TV show about it on either Disney XD or the Disney Channel, but I don't know how good those Disney Channel shows are, so I don't even think it's out yet either, so let's see. The second IP I would like to see better represented in the parks is Tangled. Everybody loves Tangled. Who doesn't love Tangled? I know there is a sort of Tangled-themed restroom area in the Magic Kingdom. I know they have like logs or something with a whole bunch of charging ports, which is sort of nice thing that I wish we had. We don't have like dedicated charging ports, at least as far as I know. We gotta bring our own power banks to charge our phones and devices, but Tangled is there's so many great opportunities to theme a sort of mini area around it. They could even just what am I trying to say? They could even build the restrooms over again in Disneyland, just copy them from the Magic Kingdom, and I would be 100% happy, because those the restrooms are really well themed, and I think they have the music from Frozen, not Frozen. That's a completely different movie, from Tangled playing in the background, and I mean, the architecture is just really, it blows my mind, and I'd really like to see Rapunzel's tower in the as part of the Disney skyline, so that would be a neat addition. Let's see, and Alex, did you have something else that you wanted to say?
Well, first I wanted to add on to that comment about Tangled. I think we should have a Tangled ride, honestly. I think it deserves one. I'd really like to see that. There's so much space in the Fantasyland area to add more, and so that's one of the things I think that we should really be able to see is Tangled. So let's see. Moving on to my next IP that I would like to see in Disneyland would be Tron. That's definitely something that I think really could go into Tomorrowland. I'd really like to see a Tron-based ride. It doesn't have to be a Tron roller coaster. Maybe it could be some kind of dark ride or something. But I would really like to see something based on Tron in Tomorrowland. And, I mean, they have all this space in Tomorrowland in which to put it. I mean, they could demolish the Carousel Theater and put something in its place, or the Pizza Port restaurant, which nobody really likes all that much anyway. That can go. But there's room in Tomorrowland to put something Tron themed, and a Tron roller coaster would be great, or even something like there was concept art a long time ago about some kind of Tron based motion simulator ride that goes along the old People Mover track. I mean, they would have to rebuild the People Mover track in order to do that, but nevertheless, it's something. I'd go for it. End of story.
Yeah, I mean, Tron was already sort of represented in Disneyland when they had the Lightspeed tunnel for the People Mover, which was kind of cool. I never got to experience it, sadly, but I did see video of it. But yeah, Tron is an amazing franchise. It doesn't necessarily need to be, like Alex said, a roller coaster that they put in Disneyland. Just anything Tron themed would be nice. I mean, I'd be okay with like a Tron. Okay, this is gonna sound weird, but I'd be okay with a Tron themed restaurant with all the neon look that it has. I think that'd be really cool. I'm just really into neon. That's really what I'm getting at.
A restaurant? Who are you?
I mean, they could replace the Pizza Port, which has terrible pizza. We should have mentioned that last week on our sort of tips and tricks to vacationing, to never eat the pizza at the Pizza Port, because it is awful. I've heard the gluten-free pizza is better though, but don't quote me on that. I've heard it.
George Donovan came up with a name for the restaurant. It's called Restaurant.
Oh my gosh, I like the way you think, George. I like the way you think, George. All right, let's see. Moving on, I talk about this movie a lot for good reason. If you guys haven't seen Treasure Planet, go see it. It's an amazing movie. Some of you might probably think it's boring, but it's not boring at all. It's a really awesome movie. I would like to see Treasure Planet to be represented in Disneyland, period, because it's not represented in Disneyland at all, which is the sad thing, because it's a really amazing movie. I was trying to like spitball ideas of what kind of attraction they'd have. I mean, it could be maybe like a roller coaster where they theme it around Jim on his speeder thing that you see on screen. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, I just really want Treasure Planet, my favorite Disney movie, to be represented in Disneyland.
Well, I don't have any comment on that because I haven't really seen the movie, but
tisk,
yeah.
tisk, tisk. I believe they were talking about retheming the submarines at one point to Treasure Planet, or maybe it was the Atlantis movies. It could have been both.
I think it was Atlantis.
Okay, yeah, because those movies sometimes I get confused with, even though I've never seen Atlantis. But it could have been it. I don't know. Alex, did you have another IP that you would like to see better represented in Disneyland?
Yes, indeedio. So, basically, the last one I'd like to see is Ratatouille. I'd like to see that in Disneyland somewhere, and I think it would fit best in New Orleans Square, but
oh yeah,
I mean,
actually be a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is like I've been backstage of New Orleans Square, and there's almost no room to put a ride or anything. Nevertheless, I'd still like to see a ride, Ratatouille or something. Maybe they could retheme the what's it called? The Cafe Orleans restaurant into a Ratatouille restaurant. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe even they could build a Ratatouille type ride in Fantasyland. I don't know. But I would like to see a Ratatouille type ride. Doesn't have to be the one that's in Paris, because that one's all like
projections and screens.
Yeah, projection. Yeah, so I mean, I'd like to see something better than that. But if anything, I'd like to see a Ratatouille restaurant if that's all that they could do. I'd like to see that in New Orleans Square.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I don't know why it just hit me that they could theme a restaurant after Ratatouille, which would be like the perfect thing to theme Ratatouille after. It doesn't have to be a ride. It could just be a Ratatouille themed restaurant. I don't know why
exactly. I didn't think of that. They could have like a little tiny animatronic Remy. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing videos of that a while back, of them testing something with a mini what is his name? Remy, right? A mini Remy animatronic in I think it was in Paris or something. But that would be so cool to have like Remy running around the restaurant. Well, not like running around, but you guys know what I mean. To have an animatronic Remy in a Ratatouille themed ride, or not ride, restaurant. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if all they could do is build a restaurant, then I'd like to see Cafe Orleans get turned into a Ratatouille restaurant. And then if they had room in Fantasyland, I'd like to see a Ratatouille type ride. Maybe some kind of dark ride or something. I don't know, but something nice.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to go ahead and move in one of our amazing listeners to our recording channel. So I'm just going to pick randomly. La 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 la. Swagford95, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing good. How about you? Oh, yep. So, do you have a specific IP that you would like to see better represented in the park?
I know for a fact Alex doesn't like it, though. Roger Rabbit. He needs to come back in a big way.
Mm-hmm. In the back of my mind, I think I even put Roger Rabbit as like an honorable mention on my list. But Roger Rabbit, yes, they need to better represent Roger Rabbit in the parks. I remember he was all over. Well, I don't remember because I wasn't born. But he was all over. I'm sorry? All right. But yeah, I remember when I look through commercials, I see a lot of commercials with Roger Rabbit in it. I think it was like around the time the movie came out, but they were pushing Roger Rabbit so hard. But yeah, I would agree, Roger Rabbit. I know Alex wouldn't agree. Swagford even says that he wouldn't agree, but thank you, Swagford, for giving your opinion on our topic.
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's move on to our sort of second and main topic that we have. Now, our main topic that we have for today is sort of discussing ways on how to fix Disneyland's, well, not really fix the crowds, but fix the crowd control at Disneyland. Let's see, let me get the right picture up. There we go. Now, we're going to break I guess, break this up into 4 or 5 parts. We have Main Street, we have Tomorrowland, we have New Orleans Square, and Adventureland. Those, in our opinion, are sort of the worst parts of Disneyland when it comes to crowds. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start with Main Street. Now, Main Street doesn't get nearly as bad as any of the other locations that we have picked, but it could definitely use some help during the parades and the fireworks, and especially right after the fireworks end, everybody's running to the front to get home and get some sleep. But Alex, how do you think Disney could improve the flow of people in the Main Street?
The people flow.
The people flow, yes.
Well, okay, well, we know that they already have guest overflow corridors that they built on the back sides of the buildings of Main Street, and basically, they have them open during the busiest times. But I think that a permanent solution, because those don't seem really like a permanent solution. I mean, let's say you just entered Disneyland. It just so happens to be crowded, and you want to walk down Main Street, but next thing you know, you're being ushered into the guest flow corridor, and you have to skip Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to go to see the shops and things that you wanted to walk. Well, my idea is basically like what Disneyland Paris has, which are kind of like indoor alleys that are along the back sides of Main Street, and they're like guest flow corridors, except they connect to all the shops. And
okay.
I think that Disney could build something like that on both sides of Main Street and have this indoor hallway kind of that accesses most of the buildings and stuff like that. And so that way people don't necessarily have to skip Main Street. They can still access it if they wanted to, or skip it if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen what you're talking about in Paris, but I know the one sort of like elephant in the room when it comes to not just talking about Main Street, but talking about all of the other locations we have, is that there's really no space available to sort of do anything almost. I mean, we do have the overflow corridors like Alex said, but I hate going through those things. I absolutely loathe going through those things. It ruins the magic for so many people. I mean, you can see I guess like I don't know what they call it, the boats for the Jungle Cruise that aren't being in use, and it's just not a good time to walk through those. I mean, of course you get to the front of Main Street faster, but at what cost, Disney?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people like them because they kind of get the feeling of being able to go backstage. But I for one, am one of those people that I agree with you. I think it kind of disturbs and breaks the magic, and it needs to be done better. Is all I can think of. It needs to be done better.
Yeah, I mean, they could easily, well, maybe not easily, but they could definitely add some different theming back there. Maybe block off the view of all the, like I said, the Jungle Cruise boats. I almost said boots for some reason. And I'm sure there's other things that are that you can see back there that's considered backstage. Yeah, they could add some theming to that maybe. Put up some lights or something, put up some walls, and maybe, like Alex said, they could even interweave it with the stores on Main Street. That'd be pretty cool, right, guys? Let's see. Expedition Theme Park says, but it's not a Disney movie. I think it's referring to Ratatouille. Let's see. Swag for 95. Dude, what if they...
No, I think...
What were you going to say?
Sorry, I just totally interrupted. I think Expedition Theme Park was referencing the Roger Rabbit ride.
Oh, yeah, Roger Rabbit is technically not a Disney movie. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. That just popped into my head right as you brought it up, Expedition Theme Park. But yeah, you guys type in the chat your ideas for improving Main Street. We'll read off some of them while we switch to our next location, which is... That's not Tomorrowland. This is Tomorrowland. Alright, now, in my opinion, I think Tomorrowland is probably... it's probably tied for second when it comes to worst guest flow out of all the locations we've picked. The big thing that they need to do to fix the flow of guests in Tomorrowland is to remove the rocks that you're seeing on screen right now, remove the Astro Orbiter, and remove the People Mover tracks. But who knows how much money that would cost. I think that would be the best solution to all of this. But I don't know if Disney would be willing to spend that much money just to improve the flow of guests in that one area, even though it is severely bottlenecked. Alex, how do you think Disney could improve the guest flow in Tomorrowland?
Well, you definitely said it right there. I mean, removing the Astro Orbiter and removing the People Mover tracks, I mean, that's just the main thing, because that really bottlenecks that area right there, and that a lot of traffic issues. So I think that the only thing I could really add to it, maybe to bulldoze and kind of rebuild the buildings, the Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster building and the Star Tours building. Those could probably be kind of reshaped so that way they kind of widen the space a bit or something. Because, yeah, I mean, it's such a huge problem. And every time I go through Tomorrowland, it's always such a huge headache to have to go through there.
Yeah.
And I think that one other thing is a big issue for Tomorrowland is the Tomorrowland Terrace, actually. That restaurant kind of gets in the way. It's, you know, they have this huge seating area, which takes up a huge part of Tomorrowland. And granted, while they do need all the seating that they can get, it kind of bottlenecks the area where the submarine voyage is and the monorail platform, all that. So that really gets kind of pretty tight on really busy days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I completely forgot about the Tomorrowland Terrace. The whole just Tomorrowland in general is just a really bad bottleneck if there's a lot of people. I don't know why they didn't design it differently. I guess because they didn't expect that many people to be going to Disneyland, but hopefully in the future it'll be fixed.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had no idea in 1955 how busy Disneyland would be in the future. You know, they knew it could be a certain amount of busy. I mean, Disneyland itself was designed to have what was it? A capacity of 17,000 people back in 1955. But now today, that capacity has been inflated to 85,000 people. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Future Retro says it feels like Astro Orbiter is almost an attraction in the hub instead of Tomorrowland. That is a really great observation because it feels like that to me too. The Daywalker 40 says rockets need to go back to where they belong. Yes, they do need to go back up on the pedestal above the old People Mover tracks. Let's see. And Avery says just close popular rides and people will stop going to the parks. That's one solution to the problem.
Yes, that's a solution, but not one that we would all agree with.
Not an ideal solution, but yeah. Let's see. Moving on to Adventureland. Now, I think Adventureland, I said this earlier, I think Adventureland is sort of tied for second with Tomorrowland when it comes to guest flow and a lot of bottlenecks. Now, they did improve it when they removed... they did something last year. I think they moved the seating of the Bengal barbecue inside instead of outside, and I think they got rid of some of the things sort of in the middle of the path. So that really did help improve the already congested area, but it's still really bad. If you're trying to get through Adventureland right after Fantasmic or even during Fantasmic, it is just packed full of people. You walk at like a foot per 5 minutes. That's how bad it is sometimes. Alex, how do you think Disney could improve the flow of people in Adventureland?
Well, they're already doing such a great job right now because they've actually moved the Tropical Imports fruit cart, and they moved it indoors. And in its place, there's now a stroller parking. So that got the strollers out of the walkway, which helps a lot. I think that the next thing that they need to do is actually move the entrance to Tarzan's treehouse, because the entrance to Tarzan's treehouse is in the middle of the walkway, and it really bottlenecks the entrance to Adventureland from New Orleans Square. So they need to move that out of the way, and that should help with that part of Adventureland. Otherwise, the other thing you're looking at is I don't know. I mean, if you look at it, just look at the picture of Adventureland. The walkway must be 20, 25, which you think is plenty wide enough. But look at how busy the park gets and how congested that whole area gets. So, how wide do you have to make these ways in order to get people to fit through them? Anyway.
Let's see. Fluffy Mailman 7 says, on my last trip I noticed that one of the planters around the People Mover track had been removed. I can't bring into my mind what planters you're talking about, but we're gonna take your word for it, Fluffy.
They're right. Yeah, they're right. They did remove the planters around the People Mover. There's these little pylons that hold up the People Mover track that run down the length of Tomorrowland, and they used to have big planters around them with big stuff like that. And they've removed a few of them in order to open up the area just a little bit more.
Oh, Avery brings up a really good point that I forgot to mention. Speaking of Adventureland, they're building a Jungle Cruise themed restaurant called the Tropical Hideaway in the spot of the Aladdin's Oasis restaurant. That is definitely going to bring even more people into Adventureland, because it's a whole new restaurant in Adventureland, where I guess previously there wasn't one before, but that will probably just add to the bottleneck, if anything.
Wow, I didn't know they were building a new restaurant.
Yeah, I think it was announced earlier this week. I can't remember the exact date, but it looks nice. It's sort of, I don't think they're demolishing anything. They're just sort of retheming Aladdin's Oasis to the, what was it called again? The Tropical Hideaway. But yeah, that is going to be adding a lot more people into Adventureland, because I think there was only one restaurant in Adventureland. I could be wrong, but this will be adding another restaurant into Adventureland, which will definitely bring up the slowness of walking in Adventureland. Let's see. Brick of Vision says, I want a Coco restaurant in Adventureland. Maybe if they theme it while they're in the Land of the Dead, I feel like that would be a good sort of theming for Adventureland. Swagford says they need to bring Moana there. Moana should have been on my list of IPs that need to be better represented in the parks, because I don't think she's having a meet and greet anymore. But a Moana restaurant or even ride in Adventureland would be nice, but then again, it would add to the amount of people walking into Adventureland. But let's see, moving on to New Orleans Square. Now, I have this on the top of my list as most bottlenecked areas in Disneyland. I believe they announced sometime last year that they were going to be removing some sort of walkways in New Orleans Square, and Alex even pointed it out in one of his vlogs to me, because I couldn't picture what they were removing, and Alex was so nice to point it out to me in his video. But even then, I still feel like New Orleans Square is still going to be bottlenecked really bad, especially during Fantasmic. You just want to avoid the whole half of the park while Fantasmic is running, because you're not going to be able to get anywhere. You're not going to be able to get on any rides or get through anything for that matter. Alex, how do you think they could fix the guest flow in New Orleans Square?
Well, basically, they have all these walkways that are separated and kind of stair-stepped, so that way there's better viewing for Fantasmic. I think that's one of the very reasons why New Orleans Square is so congested to get through, because of the fact that these walkways are separated by planters and stairs, and it really helps to congest things. So by removing that one walkway that I showed you, that would definitely open up a lot of walking space that would allow people to get from one spot to another. I think another thing too would probably be because there's another walkway over by Haunted Mansion that kind of just has a dead end, and it kind of just kind of stops with railing, and they need to open that up and make it so it's not a dead end, so that way it's a through walkway. And I think that'll help a little bit. And let me think if there's anything else. I mean, if there was a way to decrease the size of the Rivers of America in that area, you know what I mean? Like move the walkways further into the Rivers of America, then that would help a lot. They've already done that, actually. Since 1955, that area used to be a lot bigger. There used to be a bigger bend of the river there, and they've actually moved the walkways closer to Tom Sawyer's Island since then. But I think it would help a little bit if they did it just a few feet more. Because I've walked through New Orleans Square on a really busy day where everybody is just shoulder to shoulder, and nobody's moving. Nobody's moving. It's scary. Yeah,
it is a huge fire hazard. What if there's a fire on the Rivers of? Well, I guess it wouldn't be bad if it was on the Rivers of America. Okay, what if there was a fire in one of the restaurants on New Orleans Square, and Fantasmic has just ended, everyone's trying to get out of the park, and suddenly a fire breaks out. Everyone's going to panic, everyone's going to start pushing and shoving, and that's just going to get a lot of people injured. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. They could extend out the walkways more into the Rivers of America. I'm thinking even if they wanted to, they could add, like, walkways that come up out of the water, to sort of extend it during busy periods, but I don't know how much that would cost. I'm guessing it would cost a lot, but that's just one of my ideas. But yeah, it is just a huge, huge, huge fire hazard when it comes to New Orleans Square right after Fantasmic.
Oh, well, it is. I mean, let me tell you something else that is totally crazy. So when I used to work in New Orleans Square, it's said that in that area of the park, the evacuation zone, like if, for instance, there's an earthquake and they need to evacuate New Orleans Square, the safe zone is considered the Fantasmic viewing area just in front of New Orleans Square. So imagine if it's a busy day and everybody is stuck in that area, and there's an earthquake and they need to evacuate New Orleans Square to the safe zone. The safe zone's already full of people. So where are all those people going to go? You know, there's no room. There's nothing like that. And it's funny because in the past I mentioned this and somebody else told me, oh, well, Disney has plans for stuff like that. And let me tell you, they don't. I used to be a cast member, and I've asked about that question before, and honestly, the management has no idea what to do in a situation like that, because the only place to evacuate those people is the Fantasmic viewing area. If that's full, then everybody is SOL.
That is crazy to think. If the Fantasmic viewing area gets full, what is going to happen to those people? I mean, they're going to start pushing and shoving for the entrance, or maybe trying to get to inside a building. I don't know. I'm hoping that never happens. It comes to that point. I hope that never happens. But I mean, you never know. Disney needs to address. I mean, this could also be applied to any other places that we've already brought up. Main Street, Tomorrowland. Well, I mean, like I said, New Orleans Square is, in my opinion, the worst, but it could apply to sort of like on a smaller level to all the other locations we've brought up so far. Imagine if you're. Let me think of a scenario. If you're in the. Okay, the fireworks have just ended. You're trying to get out of the park, and one of the fireworks catches something on fire. I don't know what, and then you know how it gets so crowded after the fireworks. They start directing people to the overflow corridors, and Main Street is just a huge standstill. And then the fire breaks out. What happens then? What does Disney do?
Gosh, that is $1 million question, because there's no contingency plans for things like that. I mean, the best thing that you could hope for is under a major, let's see, if there's a major event where they can't evacuate people through Main Street USA, then they have evacuation routes that are around the park. So, for instance, if you're in the west side of the park, then your nearest evacuation route is behind Splash Mountain. So they would move everyone to behind Splash Mountain, and they would exit through that way towards the parking lots. And if you're in Tomorrowland, then the nearest evacuation zone would be over by the Interventions building. They have a spot there where they would take people out through there and then have them exit over by Harbor Boulevard. And then, of course, if you're in Fantasyland, the nearest route is through Toontown. They would take you through Toontown and a door that they can lead you through out that way. So those are the alternates to Main Street.
That is crazy. Imagine having to walk all the way from Main Street to Toontown just to get out of the park in like an emergency like that. That's just like a lawsuit waiting to happen. That's like 100 lawsuits waiting to happen. If somebody gets trampled, or if someone, I don't know, I hope this never happens, accidentally catches on fire or something. I don't know. I'm just bringing stuff up, but imagine what would happen. Imagine how much heat Disney would be in if any of these scenarios happened and they didn't do anything about it. They just have these alternate plans, like you said, but there's gonna be so many people in the parks. Disneyland nowadays doesn't really have any slow seasons. It's just packed all the time, and this could happen anytime. I mean, it's just crazy to think what kind of backlash Disney would get if this happened.
Yeah. Let's
see. I think we're gonna go ahead and move in one person from the waiting room. Joseph the Hatbox. Hello.
Hello.
Let's see.
Hi.
Let's see. If you had to do something to fix the guest flow in Disneyland, what would it be?
Well, I was kind of thinking about what Alex said earlier about the alley thing behind the shops on Main Street. But there could be like an optional thing, where if you really don't want to go directly through Main Street and you just want to get to the other lanes, you could take that, or the alleyway thing. I don't know.
Yeah, because I believe
I think I get.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because there was a idea in the past, like in the recent past, to have a kind of back alley that leads from the Space Mountain exit, like where Space Mountain exit is, and they have the photo purchase area there and the bathrooms. There was an idea to have an alley led from there all the way to Town Square in Main Street, and they never built it, but it was part of their idea to do that, and I was all for it. I was like, yeah, imagine being able to get from Tomorrowland to the main entrance of Disneyland like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, well, thank you, Joseph the Hatbox, for giving your opinion on the topics at hand. Oh, I moved him out right as he was saying something. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I believe there's a... Oh gosh, I feel bad now. I believe there's a... I guess like a secondary corridor on the... Let me see, on the right side of Main Street that I think leads into Tomorrowland or into some other place of the park, but I've only seen that once. Not in person, but in videos. Have they ever... How often do they use that?
I'm sorry, the what?
I could be thinking of something else. I think there's another sort of, I guess, like guest flow or like cast member usage corridor thing on the right. So yeah, on the right side of Main Street instead of on... Oh, this is hard to explain. Okay, so if you're looking at the castle on the right side of the Main Street instead of on the left side where the bigger guest flow corridor is.
Oh, but they have two guest flow. They have one on the right side of Main Street.
Yes, okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I've never I guess gotten to use that. How often do they open that up? Is it just like if they open up the other one, they open up both of them?
I've seen that one open during like the daytime. I've also seen it open during the fireworks show as well. So basically, if you want, okay, so guests who are heading north towards the castle are steered through that guest flow corridor and are headed north towards the castle. If you're heading south towards Main Street train station, then they take you to the guest flow corridor that is behind the jungle. So that's usually how they do it. They kind of keep it on a right side movement kind of.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because you wouldn't be directed to... Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Alex, any last thoughts on how Disney could improve the guest flow in Disneyland?
Well, I will say this. With Star Wars Land opening, that will help a lot because you can go from Splash Mountain area all the way to Frontierland or Fantasyland from there. So that'll help a lot with the crowd flow. And who knows, maybe that might even alleviate some of the crowd flow issues in New Orleans Square because people don't have to double back and go all the way where they just came or to get around the Rivers of America. So that might help a little bit. And I think, is there one last thing I wanted to mention? Well, okay. So the main Fantasyland area that they should kind of... I think we talked about this in another episode where they should kind of move everything aside and kind of give more room to the main Fantasyland area.
Oh, yes.
Carousel, you know, kind of move that over because that gets really congested. Who knows? They might even be doing that right now. They have the Dumbo ride. They have that off, and they already took apart the machine.
Oh,
who knows? They could be moving it a few feet back. You know.
Fantasyland was one land that also gets really bottlenecked, but I guess I decided to leave it off the list because I think the other ones that we mentioned need more help than Fantasyland does. But oh man, Galaxy's Edge is a whole other, I guess, elephant in the room because, like you said, it will definitely alleviate a lot of the crowds from the rest of Disneyland because everyone's going to be inside Galaxy's Edge. But then again, it could also make things even worse. Think of how many people are going to be at Disneyland for Galaxy's Edge opening day. Just think of how many people are going to be there. And I believe they're increasing the capacity once Galaxy's Edge opens. I'm not sure to what Alex
I
might.
think I think the capacity will to, I think 90,000 park be 90,000. I think.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
that
yeah,
is a lot of people.
yeah. Imagine having that many people in the park trying to get to Galaxy's Edge. They might even have like a queue to get into the land. I don't know how it's gonna work, but if they do have a queue to get into the land, which they might not do, I don't know if they have a queue to get into the new land, but imagine the bottlenecks that would be happening in the Big Thunder Trail and even in part of Fantasyland and the rest of Frontierland. And again, I don't know if they do a queue to get into the land, but just think of how many people are going to be there opening day, and I guess opening year, is that something I should say? Like the rest of the time Galaxy's Edge is going to be open, because a lot of people are going to be coming to Disneyland just for Galaxy's Edge. They wouldn't necessarily be Disney fans, but they'd be like huge Star Wars fans. They'd go just for Galaxy's Edge. That's just, I guess, something to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be really crowded. That's for sure.
Keith says Pandora, it was 6 hours to get into the land the first month. Holy cow.
Whoa.
6 hours. Yeah. I don't want to be anywhere near Disneyland during the opening of Galaxy's Edge. I guess we'd advise you guys to do the same. If you're planning a trip around there, maybe reschedule for a couple months later after it opens. I don't know. It could be completely fine. We might be completely wrong, but it could be utter chaos. Future Retro says after Galaxy's Edge opens and it eventually calms down, you'll be able to go from Splash Mountain to Fantasyland without going through New Orleans Square at least. That, yeah, like Alex brought up, that is going to be a really welcome addition. The path from the Hungry Bear restaurant is going to hopefully fix some of the crowds up there. Swag for 95, $12 donation. They need to stop letting so many people in, then fix the crowd problem. That is, well, first of all, thank you for the donation. It means a lot. I need to change the top donator up there. Oh well, you're still the top donator, but but yeah, back to what I was saying. I don't remember what I was saying, so I guess we'll just leave it at that, because I don't remember what I was talking about. But yeah, thank you, Swag for 95, for the $12. It means the world to us. Yeah, if you guys have any sort of closing thoughts on the topic, type it in chat. We're going to be on for a couple more, maybe 10-15 minutes for a Q&A, so you guys can ask your questions down in the chat, and we'll be sure to answer some of them. I think I might actually put some music on, because I am in love with the Tomorrowland music. Let me find it. Not the Tomorrowland music, the Pirates of the Caribbean music. I don't know how I got that mixed up.
What about someone from the waiting room? Maybe we could.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea. Okay, yeah, someone from the waiting room. We'll move you in. I guess I should have given more of a heads up before I just randomly moved people.
Yeah.
Because I saw Joseph said I was extremely unprepared for that. So we'll give them a couple minutes to collect their thoughts. Maybe we can move, like, all of them. Not at once, but, like, each one individually. Yeah, we'll wait a couple minutes before we do that so they can gather their thoughts. Yeah, Joseph just said take everyone from the waiting room. We'll do that. Brickavision says Incredibles 2 thoughts. The first trailer looked good. I'm not going to be watching any other trailers for it. I don't want to get spoiled or anything. I don't know how I'd get spoiled, but I don't want to get spoiled by the trailers. Yeah, the first trailer looked really good. I believe it's picking up right after the first Incredibles, which is going to be kind of weird. Imagine watching The Incredibles and then The Incredibles 2 back to back, and then it'd be like the switch between the better CGI than the sort of older version of the animation. That'd be kind of weird, but yeah, hopefully it's good. I'm looking forward to it. My whole family's looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm looking forward to the new Incredibles movie. I liked the first one a lot. So
I mean, it didn't really need a sequel, but
no.
Yeah, I guess I'm glad I'm getting to see the characters again in a different story. But yeah, let's see. Claymore, favorite DCA attraction. Oh boy. I'll let Alex go first because I need a second to think about this. It's a tough question.
Really? Of course you just okay. Okay, so favorite DCA attraction. I would say Radiator Springs Racers. I know everyone would say that. That's kind of like the say Radiator Springs Racers. Maybe I should come up. Okay. I'll say the Little Mermaid ride. I love that.
Yeah.
I get so happy when I ride that. It makes me smile. And yeah, so I'll say that as my, because saying Radiator Springs Racers is kind of like cheating.
Yeah. Man, I do love the Little Mermaid ride as well. My whole family. There's never a wait for it too, which is the nice thing. You can just walk on to the ride. It's air conditioned. It doesn't last too long, and it's also a really great ride that I think a lot of people skip out on. But I think I'd have to go with. Man, that's a tough one. I'd have to go with. Okay, I don't want to pick the same as Alex, so I'm gonna go with Guardians Mission Breakout. I'm not a fan of the Guardians Marvel theming, but for what it is, it's a good attraction. It's thrilling, I guess is what I should say. It delivers the same, maybe even more thrills than Tower of Terror did. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Let's see. Future Retro says more trains in the other direction would help get people around and off the paths. More trains or trains. I'm not sure what you meant by that, Future Retro. Maybe you can clarify. Oh, Alex might know. He might know.
No, I'm just thinking maybe he needs, they have to add more trains to the line, or just make them go in the opposite direction. I don't know. Get people around and off the paths. I suppose. I mean, Disney and people use the train land as a station, so I guess that would help a lot.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Brian Blocks says, when is Star Wars opening? Star Wars is opening next year. I don't think they've announced a concrete date for it to be opened, but definitely in 2019. I almost said 2018. In 2019, oh my gosh, excuse me. Star Wars Land will be open for Mr. Brian Blocks to be able to join it.
I gotta. Okay, so Jen Guardian 27 asked, now that Disney owns The Simpsons, what do you think will happen to Simpsons Land in Universal Studios? I'll tell you what, Disney will charge them rent. That's what they'll do.
Yeah, I don't think The Simpsons would change, at least in Universal Studios, because I'm sure Disney probably owns the rights to the cartoon The Simpsons and the movies, but I'm not sure if Disney buying out Fox means that they also automatically get the theme park rights for it. I could be wrong. I'm not like a business or legal person, so you guys can correct me in the comments or in the chat if I'm wrong. But I don't think anything's really going to be changing with the Simpsons attraction, or I guess Simpsons Land. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Again, I'm not a business person. I'm not in the know with how any of that stuff works. So you guys can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Future Retro says, send trains the opposite direction on a second track. Oh, I think he's implying having a second track to the train, the Disneyland Railroad, and sending it in the opposite direction. That could, I mean, that could work. I mean, they'd have to have two train stations, or different train stations for each train going in different directions, right? I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to have a separate platform train. That way people could get off and, because they don't want anybody crossing over the tracks.
Yeah. But they could just bring back the people mover and replace everything with the people mover.
Oh, no, don't get rid of the Disney.
No, yeah, I know, I'm just kidding, but I mean, if they added like a sort of people mover-ish attraction to the parks that could maybe drop off guests in different parts of the park other than what the train, the Disneyland Railroad does, that'd be cool. The line might be long for it, but I'd go on it. Let's see. Joseph the Hatbox says, I think we're ready in here. So I'm just gonna go from alphabetical. Joseph the Hatbox, hello.
Hello. Sorry. Alright, well, I have two questions. This time. One is, are you guys going to be there or try to be there for the opening day of Star Wars Land? If you are excited for it,
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about going for the opening day just to see how chaotic it is. But, I mean, it's a year from now. I don't really have enough money to go to Disneyland. But, I mean, yeah, I'd like to, just to see how chaotic it is, like I said. But then I can wait a year and a half to see it with my family when the crowds have died down. Alex is going to be their opening day, right, Alex?
Oh, God, no. I'm not going to be there. I mean, like, I thought about it. I mean, people are asking me the same thing, like, you've got an annual pass, why don't you go there? I don't know. I guess I don't know. What am I trying to say here? No, I'm not going to be there on opening day because everything is going to be like huge lines and craziness, and everyone's going to be pushing each other's children in and out of the way, and so no, I don't want to be there during the chaos. But I might eventually go to Star Wars Land when everything kind of calms down a bit, which probably be like 7 years later.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to ride Radiator Springs Racers until like a year and a half after the land opened, because it was always such a line. It was crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to go just to see everybody pushing each other over and stomping on people's hands just to get into the park on the rides.
Yeah, that'd be
just
fun.
Watch the violence. My second question is, it's kind of off topic, but what do you guys think of those old ABC sitcoms where they would go to Disney World?
Oh, you mean like Full House and stuff like that? Like
yeah, like
okay.
Family Matters.
I never watched any of those shows. I don't think I was old enough for when they aired. Alex, I don't think Alex was old enough either, but I mean,
No, I was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you can give your experience on them because I don't know anything.
I always thought it was kind of fun to see episodes because it was like you got to see like Disneyland and stuff like that, and, and it was always just kind of fun because you kind of felt like there too, a lot of stars of the show. Not that they would invite me to the show. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like it also almost gives like the sense that you might be able to meet those people when you go to the park because they're there in the show. I don't know. That's just something I got from watching little clips of them here and there.
Yeah, I was just watching a few of those, and I feel like they're kind of just giant advertisements.
Yeah.
All the kids are saying, "Oh, it's so great," and all the rides the lines are super short all the time, and it's so fun.
Yeah,
That's true. It is kind of like a big commercial for it.
Yeah.
well,
Especially.
well, thank you for the questions, Mr. Joseph the Hatbox. We're gonna go ahead and move you back. I'm gonna make sure you don't have anything to say before I move you and cut you off.
Nope.
Okay. I think I did it, but I did it on purpose this time. Just kidding, Joseph. I didn't do it on purpose. All right, we're going to be moving up Claymore. I do have one question in the chat that I want to get to after we're done talking to you guys. Claymore, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you have a question for us?
I was wondering what your guys' opinion was on Star Wars kind of taking over Tomorrowland. If you feel that once Tomorrowland or Star Wars Land opens, that Tomorrowland will pretty much be void of Star Wars stuff. What is your guys' thoughts on that and stuff?
I'm hoping once Star Wars Land opens, like, well, not everything Star Wars related. I mean, like the launch bay and the stupid movie that they show. I don't even know what the movie that they show in the 3D theater is.
Path of the Jedi.
Yeah, I think it's just like a commercial for all the Star Wars movies, but I'm hoping that they'll get rid of that and eventually replace the Innoventions building with something else. Just totally tear it down. I wouldn't really want to see Star Tours go, just because it's almost a classic. Well, it is a classic at this point. But yeah, I feel like Star Wars was the easiest land to put. No, what am I saying? I feel like Tomorrowland was the easiest land to put Star Wars into. It didn't really fit in Fantasyland or any other lands, and plus, Tomorrowland doesn't really have a lot of attractions going for it right now. And I guess they figured that adding all this Star Wars stuff would make one people go there. I don't know. What about you, Alex?
I definitely think that they will everything Star Wars to Star Wars Land except for Star Tours. I think most likely that'll just close, which is really kind of sad because it's been around for such a long time. But I think that eventually Tomorrowland will be free of the Star Wars curse, and we'll have our Tomorrowland back. And I think at that time, that's start working on pushing Tomorrowland and making it, I guess, a popular land again. Hopefully, but yeah, I can't wait out of tomorrow.
But what would you guys like to see go where the old Inventions building was, or is?
That's a tough one. Alex, you can go first.
Oh, thanks. It's a tough one. Okay. Two things actually. One, if they don't, if they build a Tron ride, I'd like to see there. If it's the Tron roller coaster or whatever, I'd like to see it there. But if they don't do Tron, then I would like to see a brand new Mission Space in that area. I think that would be really cool. And I really liked Mission Space when I went to see it, and they recently refurbished it and put new graphics and things like that, so it looks really good again. So yeah, I would like to see either Tron or Mission Space.
I think when I went on Mission Space, I threw up.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, it was just one of those rides that didn't do it for me. But yeah, I'd like to see the Tron light cycle attraction, whatever it's called, replace the Innoventions building. But I feel like they could bring back, what's it called? Adventures Through Inner Space. I saw someone in the Discord talk about how they could theme that around Ant-Man. I feel like I haven't really seen anybody else bring up theming that around Ant-Man, because it would almost fit perfectly. But if not the Tron light cycle, I'd like to see like a whole new original, something original. I don't know how likely that would be, but anyways, Claymore, thank you for the questions. We're gonna go ahead and move you back now.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Sam at Expedition Theme Park. Hello, Sam.
Hello, how are you doing, Matt
I'm
and
doing-
Alex?
I'm doing
Hello.
good. Let's
My
see.
question
Oh.
is... Do you want my question? Are you
Mhm.
ready?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, if you could ride any Disney ride, not in Disneyland, so from around the whole world that you haven't been on before, what ride would you ride and why?
That's a tough one. I really want to go on... This is gonna sound weird, but I've always wanted to go on the version of Space Mountain that that Paris has. I don't know if it's any different than the one we have.
Oh, it is.
It is. Okay, yeah, because I don't know. I just want to see like the theming. I love. I've said this before. I love the sort of steampunk theme that the whole land has going for it. I just like to sort of. I like to experience that attraction. That was just the first one that popped into my head.
It goes upside down.
What? It goes upside down?
Yes, it does.
What? Okay, yeah, that's definitely on the top of my list then. What about you, Alex?
I would like to ride Mystic. That one is
Ooh.
one I've been dying to go on and never see it. So if I had that ability, yeah, Mystic.
Mystic Manor, that's a good one.
Well, that is both good answers, and that was my question.
Thank you, Sam. We're gonna go ahead and move you back now.
Bye.
And last but not least, Swagford95. Hello again.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. How about you?
Clear.
Okay. Did you have any questions you wanted to ask us?
Oh yes. So the two of you, who's the better swimmer? And
Oh my
if
gosh.
you had a race to swim between the Jungle Cruise, the entirety of it, who would win?
I'd lose because I don't know how to swim.
What?
I used to know when
Oh,
I was a
gosh.
kid. This is really embarrassing. Another one of Matterhorn Matt's embarrassing stories. But I used to know how to swim. I actually took swim classes when I was in like middle school, or even it might have been elementary school. I did them for like 3 years in a row, and I was a really good swimmer at the time. And then I just never went into a pool again after I took the swim lessons, and it just sort of left my head. Yeah, I don't know how to swim, so Alex would probably win.
Yeah, I know how to swim, but I'm a really slow swimmer. Like it's crazy. Like I have like this look like I'm like one of those aquatic athletes, you know, and I'm like moving in the water, but then I'm not actually going anywhere. So I'm a really slow swimmer for some reason. I feel like a slow water.
Yeah, I'd probably just belly flop into the Jungle Cruise and drown, and Alex would be the winner by default because Matterhorn Matt would.
You know
drown.
what though? I don't think I could make it all the way around the Jungle Cruise. I think I would be dead by the hippo.
Well, you would have made it
Alright,
farther
can't
than
do
me,
any
so.
I mean, it's like 4 feet deep anyway, so you can just like slowly walk over there.
Oh, if it's 4 feet
Yeah.
deep, I can definitely just walk.
Yeah, definitely. We might as well do that. We'll just walk the.
Thank you, Swagford, for your question. Alright. Okay, I do have one question that I want to get to in chat. Keith said, Matt and Alex, great show. Thank you. If you could pick a Disney scene to be in and just sit back and enjoy being in that scene, what would it be? I was thinking about this. And the scene I would pick would be the lantern scene from Tangled. That would be a really awesome experience. I know they do things like that in real life, but probably not to the extent that they do it in the movie. But man, imagine how beautiful it would look to see all the lanterns in the sky. That'd be a sight to behold.
Let's see. Gosh, what scene would I like to be in? Oh, Oh, I got a good one. Okay. I would choose to be in the scene from the movie Saving Mr. Bank where they go to Disneyland in 1962. I would like to be in that scene and see Disneyland that year and Walt Disney and, well, maybe P.L. Travers. But I guess that's the scene I would be in.
Yeah, that's not fair. I forgot about that movie. I should have picked that, but anyways. I think that's gonna wrap up this week's episode, guys. We hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for typing in chat. Thank you for donating to those who donated. Yeah. Link to Alex's channel will be in the description as always, and links to support him will also be in the description as always. We want to know what you guys thought about our topics, whether it be Disney IPs that need to be better represented in Disneyland, or the flow. What was the other topic? I can't even remember.
Crowd control?
Disneyland crowd control. I'll edit that out, don't worry. Or whether it be Disneyland crowd control. Comment down below your thoughts on it once this releases. I'll edit this part out too, don't worry. Yeah, guys, we hope you all enjoyed, and have a great big beautiful tomorrow.